I don't see why 25 ACP isn't more popular than a 22 LR, or at least as popular as a 380 in my opinion. 9 times out of 10, most of the pistols that you'll get for it are pretty much be on the size of a Micro compact of a 9mm. Based off the ones I've seen in real life, I'd say probably something similar to the Hellcat, or a little bit smaller than a Glock 43. It still makes sense. It could still potentially get some grip on it, some of them. And then some of them are so small to the point, once you put your hand on the back of the grip, properly, it doesn't even get halfway through your palm. Those smaller grips are already harder to grab in self-defense. But for those who are looking for the smallest gun that they could potentially bring anywhere with some firepower behind it and reasonable capacity, I think this is it. For those who just want a runaway gun, or when I made a video on why people would want a micro compact, this is the perfect caliber for you, in my opinion. I still may go to 380 just due to, that's another thing. Other calibers typically, for the most part, have way more options, whether that's a 22, the average 9 to 440. 45 and higher. But I know y'all probably don't know too much about 32 ACP and 25 ACP. Polymer covered or polymer tip bullets that they are. They're red tip. And nowadays you could put that on a 25 ACP or pretty much overall any caliber nowadays, and they could quote unquote increase the stopping power or damage, depending on whatever part of the gun community on the internet you are. They got their own beliefs about that. Some people believe it's all about shot placement and just about any bullet could pierce through you. I'm not really against that ideal either, but then some also gonna be like, if you could stop them with a 45 or 10 mil quicker, why not put that through them? Back to the 25 red tip polymer ACP bullets. Those, once you get them adjusted, to these shot shells or RIP rounds and red tip, and I believe there's something blue tip as well too. That's when you pretty much it doesn't matter about the fact that you're using a 25 ACP. I mean, a lot of them that I know as of now are either double single action or single action. At least stand for those who's afraid of their guns going off. This is also another gun that you could just simply not have one in a chamber, or in my opinion, I put the lowest trigger weight for something with at least like a reasonable trigger pull. Just to throw out an example in case I'm confusing anybody, the Ruger LCP, that has a long trigger pull. The weight on those that it takes for it to shoot, I still feel like it'd be safe to carry conventionally, on a holster, ankle holster, or unconventionally. Even in, I've done it myself, like compression shorts, just walking around the house. And it hasn't gone off on me. Do not put one in the head unless I'm around the house. Typically, when I'm first having a gun, it'll go days without being carried. I did that with the Springfield XDM Elite, despite its grip safety it has now, because God forbid you grab it, or just a wrong way of you turning and twisting. I'm not saying this is a high likelihood, by the way, either, but God forbid, the people overall get comfortable with firearms over time, and especially after they haven't shot themselves, they think they could be a little bit less safer. So I'm saying it specifically for you people, that in my opinion those 5 pounds is good enough for you pretty much. But since nowadays that caliber with no recoil, a gun for $50, a gun for $100, that could give you as much power as a 380, boxing 9mm and 380s. Some of this stuff you can't beat. For outdoor ventures as to where I recently just bought 25 ACP ammo, they was giving 50 rounds for $15. Shout out to them. Anybody who lives in Georgia, please go there. That's pretty much, if you want to get all your ammo in bulk and don't want to be consistently looking for bullets and just want to make a one-time purchase, they got some of the best of the best there. But nowadays, if you once again are looking for a under the nuts gun, I call it, or under the titty gun, or could literally be hidden in a soccer knot with a heavy enough trigger pull and not go off on you, and the smallest gun you could pretty much get your hand on and bring in anywhere, sneak into places. Obviously, I'm not saying that so y'all could go out there do something illegal. For example, you go to work, you may not be in the safest area, so you risk obviously taking a firearm just for your own safety. Despite whatever the rules are, in my opinion, I think, when it comes to self-defense, that should be something only based upon whatever you feel like you decide, in my opinion. But anyways, this is if you're gonna quote unquote get your woman a girl's gun, because I hate when niggas call it that, because there's no such thing, but either way, this is the perfect gun you could pretty much get. That's the smallest that could give you recoil, that could drop people pretty easily once the bullet's been messed around with. Well, basically just a different bullet type has been bought. You pretty much could be on par with just about any other caliber. Again, a lot of them are 6+1 or 7+1, 8 rounds, which is a perfect getaway gun. Something, you're not trying to defend the house with, something you're just trying to run away from a criminal, just throw some shots his way so you could survive and get away. This is the perfect one, the perfect for the idealistic 3 range. I mean, this is a rule of 3 they throw out in the gun community. I don't know if there's not many proof of it, which is pretty much 3 yards with 3 shots, and I think they say and typically last under 3 seconds. However that works, I've seen a bunch of videos where they last longer, but so be it. This will also be perfect for that.
Okay. It's fair to say I could be accurate with this motherfucker from a distance. The hell is that? Oh, I thought you were watching, what they call it, the Murray Show?